What about meat? Overall, do you think it's harmful, harmless, or helpful? Overall, harmful, because food is a package deal. Yes, there's lots of nutrients in beef, for example. Cows are, after all, plant eaters. But even though they claim you can have it your way, you can't go to Burger King, order a Whopper, and say, could I get that without cholesterol, artery-clogging saturated fat, and hold the hormones? Doesn't work that way. Food is a package deal. The latest study this year found that breast cancer risk goes up more than 50% for each 100 grams of meat women eat every day. That's like one piece of chicken, a 50% increased breast cancer risk for every daily drumstick. The most authoritative report on diet and cancer in history was published in 1997, the World Cancer Research Fund's tome, which reviewed essentially every study on diet and cancer ever published. It concluded, choose a diet that is predominantly plant-based, rich in a variety of fruits, vegetables, nuts, and beans, with minimally processed starchy foods, meaning whole grains. So we should be eating fruits, vegetables, nuts, beans, whole grains. That's what thousands of studies point toward for cancer prevention, a whole foods, plant-based diet. 10 years later, they published the sequel, covering the thousands of studies published in the interim, the last decade. And they came to the same conclusion: plant-based diets are the healthiest, but found even stronger evidence implicating obesity, alcohol, and meat as cancer promoters, especially cured meats like bacon, hot dogs, and cold cuts. Actually, there was a forensic study on hot dogs published earlier this year in the Annals of Diagnostic Pathology to answer the age-old question, what is really in them? It was like a CSI episode. They found bone, blood vessels, nerves, cartilage, skin. But the kicker was that the amount of actual meat in a hot dog was less than 10%. Let's look at hot dogs. Same serving size, but Bessie's over here has almost 5 times more calories, 150 times more fat, infinitely more saturated fat, and cholesterol. How did the meat industry respond to this devastating new cancer report? Well, the beef industry spin was that the report was bad advice, and that another scientific study found no link between meat and cancer, a study that was, in their words, independent, comprehensive. How the World Cancer Research Fund report could come to a different conclusion is perplexing, they wrote. Well, I found the independent, comprehensive study to which the beef industry is referring, and wasn't perplexed anymore. I was onto this study like brown on rice. Here are the so-called facts. Let's compare. The WCRF report looked at 7,000 studies. Theirs looked at 500. This report has 537 pages. This one has 4. This report was written by 9 independent teams of scientists, hundreds of peer reviewers, and 21 of the top cancer researchers in the world. This one was written by these 2 guys. You can't see, but the picture cuts off their cowboy hats. Time spent to produce. This one took more than 5 years. This one literally just says last summer. And finally, The report that found a link between meat and cancer was overseen by the World Health Organization and the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, and funded by a leading cancer charity. This other one was overseen by a Scientists for Hire for-profit firm that has come out with similar reports downplaying the risks of pesticides, asbestos, and, of course, cigarette smoke. This independent study, bought and paid for by the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. But if you think that takes gall, wait until you see what the pork industry did. Smithfield, the largest pork producer in the world, launched the Deli for the Cure campaign, donating 5 cents to early detection for every pound sold of exactly the type of meat the WCRF report says causes the most cancer. I guess it's the least they can do. If they're going to give us cancer early, might as well help detect it early for us, too.